Well, g'day and welcome to the Concrete Connection Project podcast. It is the 20th of December and we're just on the outskirts of the city today on Green Hill Road. I'm very lucky to be joined by the CEO of Palliative Care SA, Shyla Mills. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, winding up for the year, I appreciate you, giving us the time today.
Oh, absolutely. Always love to chat about this topic, so thank you.
Okay, well, can we just start with what is palliative care?
It's a very good question. It's something we should all know. It's been going on for a long time. So palliative is to support people at the end stage of life. So it's for people that have a serious illness or are diagnosed with what we call a life-limiting illness. In the community, we sort of say life-threatening a lot of the time. So an illness that is you're unlikely to survive from, but you can be cured sometimes, which is fantastic when that happens. But it's about preparing for the end chapter of life. So we support people there, people dying, actively dying, and grieving as well for their families as well. And we promote conversations with everyone about this because dying is one fact of life. They used to say death and taxes. Taxes aren't always guaranteed, but dying is. Not everyone will have an illness. There are traumatic deaths that people have, or suicide and other ways that people die. But that's approximately 25% of the way people die. 75% of people die from an illness or a palliative care type illness. So that's a big part of the world.
Yeah, having those conversations is what my project's about, and obviously what palliative care is about as well, because I did not know those numbers. So, I think that's important to know.
Definitely. Well, it'll happen, we're all going to die one day, but also it's how we support our family, our friends, our loved ones, and everyone around us as well. So we all have a really big role to play in this space.
And then speaking of support, I imagine it would vary from patient to patient and the patient's families, but there would be a wide spectrum of mental health across those families and those patients.
Exactly, yeah. So it's how we cope with this news that people have and how we look after each other. And obviously it's difficult. It's really hard, this space. And, we lose someone that we love so much or that we have a strong relationship with. My friend's a grief counsellor and he often says, I listen to love stories all day. So a lot of this is about a connection that you have with someone and they're no longer there. So how do we look after people? And really the community can do a lot of that, and that can prevent mental health issues that can arise from it if we promote this conversation, talk about it a bit more, and encourage people to look after each other as much as we can. But we recognise it is hard, and so sometimes you do need a bit of extra support, and there's lots of good supports out there.
Yeah, so that's a lot of big things that I've been learning on this journey is about your community and support and things like that. And I think that's something, as a community, sometimes we do wait till something happens. We do wait until, a big event, maybe like an illness or life-threatening illness, happens before, we start having all that communication that perhaps we should have been before we knew that. So I think, it's a great cause. Yeah, a great charity to be a part of.
Yeah, beautiful. I think, I'm surprised it's not taught in schools. One fact of life, really. I always say it's kind of the common humanity. It's something we all have in common. So we need to talk about it. We need to open up. We need to plan ahead and look after each other in this space. And you can do a lot. You can actually do a lot. Everyone often thinks of it as a health issue, and that's partly because it's funded in the Department of Health and there's hospitals involved. But actually what we know in the last year of life, approximately 5% of that time you're connected to a health professional. So 95% of the time you're with your family, your friends, your community, your colleagues, your networks, So really that's the big part of this end stage of life, and how do we look after each other there? And even that 5% of the time, that's including if you're in aged care. That's that. So a lot of people think if you're in a facility, you're always going to have a health professional right next to you, but that's not the reality. And when we ask people what matters most at the end of life, they say their family and friends and special things that make meaning for them. And that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, and I mean, you say 5% with a healthcare professional, and the rest of the time that could be with family or friends, or they could be alone. They might not have those people around them as well. So I think that's where, you guys step in and really, really help out.
Exactly, and we've done a lot with homelessness in this space. We do a lot with all different walks of life, I guess, in this area. And part of that, obviously, some people have really great social networks and they've got a lot of connections in that space, but a lot of people don't. And so we all can do something in that way. We can all reach out to our neighbours, and we're trying to build what we call compassionate communities, which are networks of support that check in on their neighbours. I think it's quite hard in the current society to ask for help,
Yes.
even not just at the end stage of life, throughout the whole life journey. But there's lots of ways you can ask for help. But also as a neighbour, you can actually look out and see if there's any way I can help. So if your neighbour's unwell and are in hospital, could you pop over and say, do you want me to walk the dog? Do you want me to feed your cat for you? Anything I can do just to, put your bins out. There's a lot of things in life that just take the burden off people. And to be honest, it feels so good helping someone. So we're trying to promote that.
Yeah, and so you guys have just started a collaboration with St Johns Ambulance SA.
Yes, and Flinders University.
And Flinders University.
Yes.
Can you please tell us about what this collaboration's all about? Absolutely.
It's a new program, brand new in South Australia. We launched it in May, and hopefully some of your viewers might have seen it on the news. And it's called Ambulance Wish South Australia. So it's actually founded over in the Netherlands, the Ambulance Wish Project, and it's been going there for almost 20 years.
Wow.
It first came to Australia in 2019 up in Queensland, and I was living up there at the time, and a part of my team set it up there. And then when I moved back down here, I'm an original South Australian, but came home. My dad was actually unwell, and we had a group of us working, including St John's, who had already started these conversations. How do we get this program to South Australia? And so we established the program here with St John's and with Flinders and a group of fantastic people. So our first wish, this is Simon. Simon's the first wish. He just wanted a beer and a pie and to go to the Adelaide Oval with his mates, because that was always great times for him. And he loved it. And that's what the program's about. We have an ambulance and we take people on their last wish, or we bring a wish to them as well. So just like ambulances can bring medication and support to you, we do go both ways for people. And so we're trying to grow this program across South Australia.
Wow. Yeah, and I think I saw somewhere on the website, it doesn't only facilitate, going out and about like this, but perhaps family photography and things like that. Is that right?
Exactly, memory making. So a big part of it is the wish, but a big part of it's memory making for your family. And changing the way people think about palliative care. Actually, so my background's a palliative care nurse, and I've done it my whole career. I worked with children in palliative care and with adults. And a lot of people think of it as sadness and suffering and pain and all of this, but actually palliative care is about finding what matters most and creating a support network around you to focus on that. Bring memories to your family. If you've only got a short time left, how do we make that time precious and focus on the good stuff? So that's really what this is about, and this just gives us a vehicle, literally, it's a bit of a pun, but a vehicle to get you to that destination. So I often say to people, why don't we think about what would my ambulance wish be? I know for me, I'd like to go to the beach. I love the ocean. Maybe to have a glass of wine, watch my kids kick the soccer ball around on the beach, a bit of good music, So what does that look like to you? What would an ambulance wish be? And then from a mental health space, we say to everyone, that's if you're at the end stage of life. Why aren't we doing that now?
Yeah,
we should all be doing this.
Yeah, I think, there's a real relationship with palliative care and the way we should perhaps be thinking about life now, because he told me a pretty special story over the phone about one of the wishes, and I believe he was a pilot. And he said, I just want to go plane spotting. And then this whole big thing was organised. Yeah, we can get you on a plane and go into the cockpit and stuff. He's like, no, I just want to sit with my wife and watch the planes where we first met. And I thought, I think we take for granted those simple things, because I think perhaps towards the end of life, it's not all the bells and whistles that we want. It's those simple things and those simple connections and reliving some of those memories.
Exactly, the preciousness around it. And I think we get very busy. I've got young kids, I work full time, life is busy, doing everything that we always do. And you forget about focusing on the important stuff because we all don't know how long we've got. You know, life is precious. And I think that's probably one benefit you have by working in this area is that you recognise the important things in life and you try and fit them in wherever you can. I'm not telling everyone to go spend their superannuation and go travelling and just quit their jobs. It's not about that. It's being practical. But it's that, you know, what are the important things? What matters most to me? And how do I keep that at the centre of my life all the time? And that's what we should all be doing because that's what a good life is, and that's what we hope for.
And I think a lot of the time we do get caught up in, you know, the busyness of life and things like that, and we sort of accidentally or sometimes purposely aren't present in those moments. We're always somewhere else. We're always thinking about getting to the next thing or doing the next project or doing the next thing. And I think, you know, a big thing about mental health as well is, you know, being present in those special moments, whether it's with kids or family or parents or just friends, or even just being by yourself, soaking up that moment and, you know, not being in your phone or being away with the fairies when, you know, you could be enjoying nature or, you know, whatever moment it may be. Exactly.
And we are looking a little bit into what people request for ambulance wishes and links to social emotional well-being because that's a big part of it. It's often a place that has meaning and significance to them. It might be music, it might be an environment, or, you know, it could be the people around them that creates that. And the more we can do that, the more happier we are in life. And this is how we should be living all the time.
And then so the wishes that are granted to these recipients, they're free?
Yes. So they're always free to the wish recipients. They never pay, and that's the key part of the program. However, because the complexity around someone at the end stage of life and requiring mobility support, so we have 2 ambulance officers on the wish, we have a clinical escort usually on the wish, we have 2 volunteers, we have a photographer. So there's quite a lot of process and the planning that we go into it. It's like a little event every time because we want to make it fantastic. And so it costs us approximately $2,000 on average per wish to make them happen. So it can seem like a lot of money, but it changes lives for so many people. It's also a workforce benefit. So, you know, the healthcare profession has had a bit of struggles in the last few years with COVID and everything. This has been a chance for everyone involved in the wishes or who works in the health professional field in palliative care to see the rest of the community see how great palliative care is as well. So they see such benefit of it. So there's lots of ripple effects of this program that really makes a big difference.
So yeah, to fund that wish, that's reliant on donations?
It is, yes. So we have a couple of different mechanisms. We're a deductible gift recipient charity, so you can donate towards us. We encourage community groups to get together and sponsor a wish. You can do it in the memory of someone, you can do it as part of your name of your community group, you can do it singularly or in anonymous as well, or corporates can do that. So there's lots of ways you can get involved. You can even just give a donation towards the program. You can sponsor the program. There's lots of different ways. And if you don't have any money in that space, that's absolutely fine. You can follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and follow it and find the joy around it as well, because that's a big part of the program.
Yeah, well, today we can't sponsor a full wish, but the Concrete Connection Project would like to donate $500 towards the program because, yeah, I think it's just fantastic, and I can see such links with, you know, the way we should be thinking now and the way it can benefit our mental health is linking with those special moments like we talked about before. But yeah, we'd like to donate it to you today, and as our final donation for the year, I think it's a perfect way to end for this project as we close the chapter of the southeast quarter of the city, which thankfully this sort of lies in just off Green Hill Road. And before we just take a break until the northwest quarter begins next year, but I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully the donation can go at least quarter of the way to someone's wish.
Oh, it means a huge amount, and this program makes a big difference. So, you know, on behalf of so many people involved, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing and raising awareness, talking about these issues and everything, and keeping your community connected to these topics. And thank you. That's a really generous donation. So thank you.
No problem at all. Yeah, well, I think it's about education for me as well, and palliative care is not a section of, that I've really even knew about. So it's been eye-opening for me, and that's what the project's about, is raising awareness about charities and things that people haven't heard of. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.